This is the DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg podcast.
I'm a big star, you know.
Listen live weekday mornings from 5 to 8 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN in New York, the ESPN app, the TuneIn app, or on your smart speaker.
Hey, Alexa, play ESPN New York 98.7.
Good morning, DCR.
Got the number one pick and a Super Bowl champ with the man they can't seem to stump. Do something dumb, that's an observation. CLT make him need to run.
That's Lawrence Taylor!
I don't marry trash, CMT for short. Wonder if we best, won't you peep the score? Sports Center gonna be top stories of the morning. While you're yawning, grab your coffee, rise and shine with 98.7. This is Drive Time. We provide highlights from your favorite teams. Dave, Chris, and Rick making plenty of picks. It's Rule 76.
And a good morning. March the 31st. This is it. We say goodbye to March and hello to April. It is DCR with you on 98.7 ESPN. Dan Graziano, 7:30 this morning. A lot of baseball. Today's the last day without baseball for a very long time. The Final Four is set. Pete Alonso says $400 million. We got 17 games in the NFL. Lots of good stuff to get into today. We say good morning to the guys. And good morning, Chris Canty. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dave. Hope you and Rick are well. I got to say, I didn't like the way you guys tried to replace me in the 7 o'clock hour yesterday. Didn't like it at all. Offering Matt Miller the co-host spot, don't like it.
He's very good.
I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. I feel like my guys threw me under the bus. Here I am trying to be a team player, help out while the other radio show is a little shorthanded, and you guys are stabbing me in the back. I don't like it. Don't like it.
Here's the question, though, Chris. Why do we need to help out other radio shows? When we need to help, when we should focus on helping our own radio show out.
Well, I look at 98.7 as a team, right? And so a high tide raises all boats. And when one of your teammates is struggling, I feel like if you can do it, even if it means a little extra work, then you try to pitch in and lend a helping hand. I just feel like that's the way you should operate. That's where I'm coming from. Okay, so to understand where we're coming from, we also need some help then. We're down a man on the show. So Matt Miller, he's a tough guest to get.
Very good.
Maybe if we offer him a CC Sabathia type of co-host situation, maybe now all of a sudden he's like, you know what, this is a good opportunity for me.
It is a good opportunity. I mean, it is morning drive in New York. Matt Miller, just early risers.
That's right.
We'll get work. That's right. And we could play that for him. You think that wouldn't sway him over to this show?
Well, why do you think Graziano's on every single? And how we got Frank Isola?
That's right.
It's the sales pitch right there.
Early risers we'll get. We send them like a welcome package. Here's what we can do for you. We can give you, health insurance. We can give you 401k. We can give you quotes like this. We have a lot to offer on this show. Diana, I have been lurking. Jeez. Great. Thanks very much. And you know what? Here's the thing. Why does it always go back to this? Why does it always go back to me? Chris is upset. Chris is making a point, and it goes back to let's make fun of Rothenberg. Why is that? I don't understand.
Why are you blaming us? I don't have control of the sound.
I'm not blaming you. I mean, granted, you owe me money that you haven't paid me, but I'm not blaming you.
Oh, time out! Don't blame me for that. That's a Cassie issue. I already passed the buck on that one.
Chris is going to agree with me on this. Chris, over 150 people in the pool. One person has not yet paid their entrance fee. One person.
Rico,
one person.
Rico, don't be that guy, man. Don't be that guy.
Now, it does sound like you're in a little better area now because last week you're like, forget it, I'm not paying. Why should I pay? I shouldn't have to pay. Now you're at least blaming it on your wife, which is really a great thing to do. But now you're on the verge of sounds like paying.
Well, I'm leading the bracket, first of all. And second of all, I already
you're a big liar, too, by the way.
This is what I need to have happen.
You're amazing. I don't know if you were on the show at this point yesterday, Chris, but he's doing this read. I'm winning the bracket. I'm beating the guys, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hang on a second. You're not winning by that much. You have a narrow lead. He goes, well, I had Houston. Did you have Houston? I'm like, oh, you know what? I got to give the guy credit. He had Houston. Good for him. I look at the sheets yesterday. He didn't have Houston. He doesn't have Houston. So I don't know whether you don't remember who you took.
Well, no,
you're just lying during the reads,
or
what's happening with you?
He threw in 4 or 5 brackets in 4 or 5 different places, so I'm sure it's hard for him to keep it all together.
I'm sure it is. He joined my pool twice and had Houston on neither of the picks.
Why had Houston? That's because Jay Williams talked me into Illinois. What are you going to tell you?
Well, blame Jay Williams, but don't pretend you had Houston in the brackets.
I had Houston up to the point where they lost to Illinois.
Either way, Dave, whether he had Houston or whether he had Illinois, I just feel like he can't use the pool in the tournament with bragging rights and reads unless he pays you the money, the entrance fees for the pools.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I will tell you this, Chris, and you will be an innocent victim in this, and I'm sorry for it. But if he does not pay his entry into the pool and James Harden wins the MVP, I will not release the video.
Come on, Rico. Don't be that guy, man. We need that.
Do you think that's unfair for me, Chris? Be the independent arbitrator. Do you think that's an unfair tack for me to take?
Yeah, I do think that's a little bit unfair because I don't think one has anything to do with the other.
Well, what other recourse do I have, though?
Those are two separate deals, though. I mean,
I understand.
Two separate bets.
But if your word means nothing, why should mine?
Well, my word means something. I already passed this off. I said, Cass, we need to get Dave Rothenberg paid. And she said, "What's his email?" Dave Rothenberg. I said, "No, it's Sherry's email. Dave can't control his own email and everything else. It's his PayPal."
Wait, you say that to me as you pass it over to Cassie, correct?
Right. And what I'm confused about with the whole thing is I didn't have a PayPal or a Venmo before a couple of weeks ago when I had to actually sign up just to send Dave's wife the money for the pool. Like I didn't have that. I had to figure it out. I was like, okay, I got to download Venmo. I got to get the app on my phone and then set up an account so I can send the money just to be a part of the pool because we're doing this as a show.
Yeah,
but the fact that
it's a show.
But the fact that Ricky hasn't sent the money in and we're already down to the Final Four is just bizarre.
Well, I thought I had till the tournament was over. And the other thing, too, is I just learned what a BCC was. You think I'm going to be able to download Venmo
please.
And everything else?
Really, please. You sound like you're 86 years old. I don't know what Venmo is. I can't use Venmo. Come on.
I don't trust the Venmo.
Oh, my God.
I don't pay any of my bills online.
So send me a check. So what? Where's the check?
Well, that's not my department either. That's Cassie's
So what
department.
is your department? What department do you run in that house?
I make the money. And I fix things.
So hold on, Rico. Let's rewind this right here. You don't pay any of your bills online?
No, I don't pay. Well, I don't pay any bills. I don't pay any bills, period.
But none of your bills are paid online?
As far as I know, no.
Oh, you're a treat.
But he wouldn't know, though. But Dave, he wouldn't know, though. That's the other
I wouldn't really know. But Oprah, I'll never forget, Oprah said that you want to sign every check yourself. And by that I mean Cassie signs every check herself. I can see where the money's going.
I'm a big fan of Oprah. I am. I think she does a terrific job. I stand by it. Do you think Francisco Lindor, when he signs the big deal, will Venmo or PayPal? Or you think he'll stay away from the virtual money as well?
I can't tell you how many. No, I would hope
direct
that he
deposit.
stays away from
I need that direct deposit. I need that to hit at midnight the day of that it's due. There's no way.
You know how many guys get screwed like that, Dave? You'd be surprised. Well, you wouldn't be surprised. That guys don't have, they have their agency pay their bills, and they have no idea what kind of money they're spending on any of their bills.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Their bills go right to the agent, and the agent pays their bills.
That's your own fault. Really. If you have no idea how much money you have coming in or going out or where you're spending money on, that's your own fault. I don't feel bad for guys like that. Guys that have money stolen by agents or people representing them, that they have no idea and they're not involved in their own finances, that's a you issue.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but I mean, this is plenty of athletes get taken advantage like that because I mean, they've got single guys. I mean, we're lucky enough to have our wives that take care of that stuff, but I mean, single guys trying to focus on whatever sport they're playing, they don't really understand finances and everything else.
But how much do you have to understand?
There's a lot.
There's a lot to understand.
There's
when
a lot
you start talking about making that kind of money. There's
you don't have to be a genius to know where your money is going.
No, you have to. Yes, you do.
Yeah, there's a lot.
When you make that, when you're making Francisco Lindor money, and you sit down with the guy who's going to invest your money, and they start speaking, it's like a different language.
Well, not even just that, though, Rico. Just something simple like filing your taxes. Filing your taxes is complicated as a professional athlete. You have to file in every state that you play in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, think about it. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
listen, I'm not saying what the athlete has to deal with is isn't more complicated. I think it absolutely is. But I still think that there's checks and balances you have to do. You can't just say, all right, you're in charge of everything. Wake me up when this thing is over. You got to be involved.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. But, I mean, when it comes to financial literacy and dealing with that kind of money, I mean, a lot of athletes have no clue where to start. So you're going to have help, and you're going to have to learn as you go along in the process. But I'm with you guys, man. Like when you're making that kind of money, you have a responsibility to figure this stuff out for yourself. Like you can't rely on somebody to take care of your own business. Now, we'll see who's taking care of the business with Francisco Lindor. I don't know if he's getting advice from his agent or if he's getting advice from the union. But there's no way that he can pass up on a 10-year, $325 million offer from the Mets. No way.
Today, and again, we talked about it yesterday, Rick, like the self-imposed deadline seems silly. But today, I guess, is that deadline, right? He said he will not negotiate once the season starts. Well, the Major League Baseball season starts tomorrow. I still stand by it. This thing will get done by the time the Mets take the field tomorrow night. But, I mean, there's not a lot of time left now.
Well, no, I understand that. But no one's done anything yet. I mean, actually, I made a couple phone calls yesterday to some of my buddies that are Mets fans. And I was actually surprised. And I don't know how Francisco Lindor feels about this. But, again, I mean, if this is how you negotiate, the fact that they leaked the 10-year $325 was brilliant by the Mets. I couldn't believe how many phone calls I made where they're like, this guy's crazy. That's a terrific offer. He should take it. If he doesn't,
I agree. That's it. I mean, it's more than a fair offer. You get financial stability the rest of your life. You're talking about you being one of the highest paid players in all of baseball. 10 years and $325. You don't know what the new deal is going to look like in Major League Baseball. I don't know how you say no to this. I really don't.
Well, he hasn't said no yet. I mean, you got till tomorrow. I mean, he's taking this up to the wire. He's going to exert his leverage for as long as he can. The deal's not going anywhere. It wasn't like Steve Cohen said, this deal will self-destruct by noon on Wednesday. Like, the deal is on the table. So you push. You say, we want the 12 for $385. Try to reset the market, going off of what Mookie Betts made, which I think is crazy. And I like the fact that they offer 10 years. I don't want to go 2 extra years.
I agree
for my shortstop.
Did you see that Mookie Betts has a ton of deferred money?
Yes.
And in this deal, Lindor would have no deferred money, though?
Yeah, but I'm sure if all of a sudden they wanted to go to 2, I mean, that's the thing that could be, like, those are certain little things that could be tweaked in the deal to make it work for Francisco Lindor. Like, as an athlete, you want to play for as long as humanly possible, right? So I would be doing the same thing. I would like the 2 extra years. Just like LeMahieu wanted the you know what I mean? He wanted the extra security because he wants to keep playing.
Then take 2 extra years and an extra $10 million then lower the average annual.
That's what we said yesterday. But that's what we said. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Right? Like, you want a higher AAV for less years, or you want a lower AAV for the more years. But I can't give you, 32.5 on a 10-year deal and then 32.1 on a 12-year deal. That's not going to work for me.
Well, it makes no sense. What's the advantage of the Mets going 12 years? By the time he's 38, 39, you think he's going to be a top-level shortstop in this game?
No,
he's probably not playing shortstop.
Right.
I mean, that's the reality of it. There'll be a DH, and then he'll probably, you have to move him probably to second base. He's not going to be your DH. I mean, he's not going to be your shortstop at that age.
Cano at that point?
No, I hope not. I mean, let's not get crazy.
51-year-old Robinson Cano will still be playing for the Mets.
But this is what you do, right? This is your last swing. He actually, I mean, he's got tons of leverage right now because Steve Cohen traded for him. He was the big offseason acquisition. He's going to be a free agent next year. So this is his chance to make as much money as humanly possible. He's not going to get another deal like this ever again in his life. So he'll take this up to the deadline, which is a Fugazi deadline anyway that he made, and try to squeeze as much money as possible out of them. And, at the end of it, I can't imagine turning down 10 years, $325.
Oh. Yeah, I can't imagine that either, Rico. And I guess that's for me where I wonder how much more the Mets and Steve Cohen are willing to give for Francisco Lindor. Like, I understand that Steve Cohen is the richest owner in the sport. Like, he can add on another $25 million to this deal and not even sweat it, and yet that could mean everything to the player. But I also look at it from this standpoint. Like, if he issued this edict and saying that, this is what it is, this is our best and final offer, and then Francisco Lindor gave a counter proposal of 12 years, $385. Like, I just don't understand. Like, if Steve Cohen balks at it, then if you're Lindor, do you go back to the club? Do you go back and say, oh, well, we're going to come down on that. We're going to, like, I don't understand. Like, if you're Lindor, if you're his agent, if Steve Cohen and the Mets say, no, we're not moving off of this position, like, do you then go back to the club? How does that work out? Because I don't see the Mets giving a whole lot more from where they're at. And if you saw Steve Cohen on social media yesterday, he said, yeah, I don't know what this whole going back and forth and trying to get creative is. That's not what we're doing. Like, he put that out there on Twitter yesterday. So it doesn't feel like there's a lot of room on Steve Cohen's side to kind of give in order to meet Francisco Lindor more in the middle between the two proposals. I just don't see that happening.
I got to tell you, I've had, and I think there's times where it can be entertaining, and I like the fact he's engaging the fan base on Twitter. I've had enough of it, to be honest with you. I don't need the little jokes and the digs. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I know this might be a weird thing to say, there's a lot of people that take this very seriously, and a lot of people that love the Mets, and they want to see this organization successful. And by this guy, I mean, he doesn't do it in his other business. He's not joking around. It's not fun and games. It's not whatever. Well, why is it like that? Because it's a hobby for him? Well, you know what?
Yes.
A lot of people really care.
Well,
a lot of people really deeply care about this.
Well, I understand that, but that's not what this is for him. I mean, this is a toy for him.
Okay, but I think that's going to turn off a lot of the fan base.
Yeah, if he makes mistakes. I mean, but again, did I like when he said, I'm going to crowdsource this? How much do you think Francisco Lindor is going to make? No, I didn't love that. Like, I would rather him, take care of his business behind closed doors. And if he wants to, start making jokes and everything after the deal is done, that's great. That's fine. Some of the stuff he does on Twitter is good stuff. What would you like us to change? What do you want us to bring back?
I agree with that.
That stuff's good stuff.
That conversation, those are great conversations. But when it comes to the GameStop and when it comes to this, I think a lot of people are very turned off. And you remember what happened last time. People, does he remember how angry people got that he had to leave social media? Well, I know it's not the same, but that's going to happen again if this continues.
I don't disagree. I mean, get on Twitter at your own risk. I mean, you know what Twitter's all about when you sign up for it. But I think the fact that he offered 10 years, $325 million, I mean, to a lot of Mets fans, he did right by a lot of Mets fans. And if this deal doesn't get done, it seems like from what I've gathered from my Mets buddies is this will be more on Francisco Lindor.
That's what I said
yesterday. Well, how could it not? He's offering the guy $32.5 million a year for the next 10 years. How could it not be more on Francisco Lindor if he doesn't get it done? It's not like he's nickel and diming or being cheap.
No, it's a
I mean, in terms of average annual value, he's right up there with the best position players in the sport. Rendon is the only one, Rico, that has a higher AAV.
Rendon and Trout, yeah.
Yep.
Rendon and Trout. So,
and Arenado's 32.5.
Yeah, they're tied. Yeah. So it's the same. So I don't. This is not Steve Cohen nickel and diamond. This is him giving a substantial offer to a guy that he would like to be his franchise player in his first huge move. Yep. So the ball is in Francisco Lindor's court. If he wanted to get a deal done before the start of opening day, this is the deal that's on the table. I don't know how he turns that down given the climate that we're in right now with the pandemic and how it's impacted the economics of the sport. There's no way he can turn that deal down.
Thanks for listening to the DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg podcast.
You're absolutely right.
Catch the show on demand wherever and whenever you want. Just subscribe to us, rate us, and review us wherever you get your podcasts.
I mean, you guys were the athletes. You got paid lots of money and had teammates that would say stuff. You wouldn't expect them to take the other side. You'd expect them to take the Lindor side, right?
Yeah, players are not going to, take the club side in this and say, yeah, we got to be financially responsible because eventually Pete Alonso knows he's going to end up in that same situation and he wants his teammates coming out saying good things about him. So, I mean, there's only one way you can go with that if you're a player.
Yeah, I mean, the more money that Francisco Lindor signs for, the better for Pete Alonso. It's not his money he's spending.
No, of course not. He doesn't care.
No, but I mean that's part of the reason why Francisco Lindor and his agent are asking for $385. I mean, that's as a player, when you're at that level and you have this kind of leverage, you try to reset the market. Like he's going off of what Mookie Betts made. So Mookie Betts 12 years, 365. So he's working off that. Well, if he did 365, I want to do 12 years, 385. And eventually he has to make a decision. Because if Steve Cohen's a savvy businessman, man, even if this is his toy, he doesn't want to look like a sucker in this deal. So if he stays strong to this is a hard and fast 10 years, 325, take it or leave it.
He's going to have to take it, no?
I don't know how you don't. With the landscape of what baseball is going to look like after the season with the CBA and everything else, I don't know how, and I don't know how many teams are going to be willing to spend that kind of money.
All right, I have a question for both of you, but let's hear from Pete Alonso first. Asked about Lindor's contract negotiations yesterday.
Just in general, when you hear the $325 million offered to somebody.
I don't know. It depends on who the player is. Who's the player, Mike?
Your shortstop.
I mean, pay him $400.
All right, so that's the first part, and then he kind of elaborates a little bit more. You really think Lindor is worth $400 million?
Absolutely, no question about it. He's not only is he a superstar on the field, he pays attention, he works hard, he cares about his teammates, and he not only does he have the quantifiable numbers of a superstar. He has the X factor, and what he brings to a clubhouse is tremendous and can't be measured, along with his superstar talent. And I hope they pay him $400 million, and he's worth every penny of what he decides. And again, that's his personal decision, but I think that he's a superstar. I've always known he was an unbelievable player, but the amount of intangibles that man has is special. Also, he's he's young, and what he can bring to a club for a very, very long time is I can't even imagine what the potential he could help out for the future. So pay him $400 million. Absolutely.
$400 million. I love the rationale behind Pete Alonso. He pays attention.
Attention.
Oh, okay. Well, $325 million doesn't get us we're talking about $325 million. And yes, he goes on to say he's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He's a young guy. That's why you're paying him $325 million.
Yeah, Dave, but everybody that's getting paid at that level is not necessarily focused on what the team objective is. They might just be locked in on what they have to do, what their job responsibilities are. And for where this Mets team is at right now, you want somebody that's a productive player that's focused on the individual task at hand, but you also want somebody that has the awareness in the locker room to provide the leadership for where this club wants to go. And Francisco Lindor checks that box. Andy Martino, who was around the team during the spring, and he's been talking about it, he said this is as locked in as he's seen this Mets team in recent years. He's just saying this is a team that is focused on trying to compete and get into the postseason and win a World Series. Just to have that expectation actually be a real possibility, I just think that's a big shift from where this Mets team has been the last 3 or 4 years, and a big part of that is going to have to be Francisco Lindor.
But they offered him 10 years and $325 million. They made a huge offer to him. I don't know, $400 million. Come on. I get it.
He's not being serious. He's not
being serious. But I can't believe that we are discussing numbers like that. The numbers that we're discussing, I can't believe we're here.
But that's where, for superstars, which Francisco Lindor is going to, he's a superstar, especially here in New York, because he's got the it factor. He's got an unbelievable personality. You heard what Pete Alonso said. I would take out the, if you're trying to argue someone gets $400 million, he pays attention would be the first thing on my list. But
sounds like my kid's teachers. Well, you know what? He pays attention, so he's going to get that A. He pays attention.
Baseball has a different. Baseball is interesting. Of the 4 major sports, they have a different kind of standard as far as
right. Yes, clearly.
We gotta do sprints in the outfield, which is just like jogging in the outfield is their sprints.
Yeah.
But
why'd you give him $216 million? He hit 147. Yeah, he did.
He pays attention, though.
But he pays attention like nothing I've ever seen before.
See his note taking. It's terrific.
His attention to details really is at a different level. Let's go to the phones. Good morning, Lonnie in Harlem. You're first up on 98.7 ESPN.
Good morning, Uncle DiPietro. Good morning, Brother CC. And good morning, Cousin Dave.
Good morning, Lonnie.
Good morning. Okay, well, CC, first off, I want to start off with you. Please forgive me. I feel like I shortchanged you yesterday or the other day. Your knowledge of sports and just your take on everything is why I need you here. Listening to you on KJZ is cool, but once again, I need you on DCR. Oh, by the way, CC, I also met my lady love by sliding in her DMs. I've been wanting to say that.
There you go, Lonnie. There you go. It goes down in the DMs.
It sure does. Uncle Rico, did you hear your cut of the Lindor contract situation as the open to the Michael K show yesterday?
No, I did not hear it.
No,
I did not hear it. I wasn't dialed in right at 2.
Really?
It was beautiful. Yeah, it's very surprising. I'm super excited for tomorrow for the Thursday Open. You better not be pulling an April Fool's on me, Rico. I know you got this, Uncle Rico. Be sure to take out the garbage today. Don't worry, I closed all the refrigerators last night, even the one in the garage, so we're good. And my thoughts on the contract situation is Steve Cohen did his job. He offered an amazing contract. Probably should have never did the Twitter thing like you guys keep saying. But, he put the money on the table for Lindor, and I'm honestly surprised he didn't take that because that's a very lucrative
but he still might,
deal.
Lonnie.
Like the guy,
Lonnie, he still might take it. I can't imagine not taking $325 million guaranteed. I can't imagine not taking that with no deferred money.
Yeah,
stop.
And going up, that's a little too much. Like you said yesterday, 12 years, $385. No, I need a discount.
Well, I don't love the 12 years. I'm not going to pay you a premium for 2 extra years where you're not going to be. You're not going to be at the level.
Thanks for the call, Lonnie. We appreciate it. Well, if I'm going to give you 12 years, I have to get some kind of a bonus, right? Something has to be in my favor to give you 2 extra years. So then let's lower the average annual.
Well, that's the only reason why you do a long-term deal like that, because those, for the most part, those long-term deals don't work out. The back end of those deals are usually really bad for the for the team and the owners that are spending the money because you're not getting the same player. So the only reason you do it is, like you just said, is to decrease the average annual salary. And he's not really doing that. I mean, 12 years, $385. He's not doing that.
No. So Lindor is going to have to make some type of concession if he wants to get this deal done. Now the question is, how much of a concession is it? Is it going all the way to what Steve Cohen and the Mets have said it's going to be, and accepting them drawing a line in the sand? I just don't feel like Francisco Lindor is going to do that. So I just wonder where that sweet spot is in order to get a deal done in the next week or so, in the beginning of the season. Because I don't think this is going to be something that they want to loom over the team the entire year. But at the same time, I don't know that today is the drop-dead date in terms of being able to get him to put pen to paper.
Thanks for listening to the DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg podcast.
I don't wake up at 4 a.m. to wear a swim shirt.
Looking for more access to the show? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at DCR on ESPN.
Gonzaga just, oh my God, it's not even all that fun to watch. They roll over teams that had been rolling coming into the game against Gonzaga. 85-66, they led 7-0, and it never got competitive. And then in a game that went till 12-12 this morning, only about 5 hours ago. And that's right, yours truly stayed up and watched the entire thing. UCLA, what was an exciting finish, gets by Michigan 51-49. So Gonzaga, UCLA, Saturday. And then you have Houston and Baylor in the other Final Four matchup. So down to four games. But did you guys see this yesterday? This was terrifying. The referee that passed out during the game was awful.
Yeah, that was scary.
You saw it, Bert Smith?
It was scary.
I mean, my first thought, and I think everybody's first thought, was probably like something catastrophic has happened to this guy the way he fell.
Yeah, again, it was probably your first thought, but I mean, luckily it wasn't. You never want to think something like that. How morbid are you, by the way?
Well, shut up. Really? I mean, you're telling me your first thought wasn't... it's not morbid. When a man passes out and looks like he's not breathing, my thought is, oh my God, something is terribly wrong. That does not make me a bad person.
I didn't say bad. I said a morbid person.
No, that's not morbid. I'm realistic. You saw him. He went... He went straight down.
I could imagine he was a doctor. You're going to die.
Nobody had any idea that Magic was going to die.
Wow.
I'm not going to do this. Poor Bert Smith, his life was in the balance last night, and you guys are laughing at things. I was terrified.
Every time I hear it, Dave, it never gets old. Every time I hear it, Dave,
I know,
killed off Magic Johnson.
I did beautiful.
He tried to kill you off, too. He said you passed on, too.
I said I passed on?
That. No,
you said
Canty
moved on
last week. You did.
By the way, Canty has moved on. Not in a negative way. It's not like he's moved on to a higher place. He's moved on to a different show. He's going to do Get Up this morning. I don't think that's wrong. Canty moved on. When someone leaves the situation they're currently in, they've moved on. Canty moved on.
I haven't left, Dave. What did I leave?
You left our show. You went to another show. You moved on. I'm
doing the show every single day. I don't know what you want from me.
I still stand by that.
Well, you know what you said.
I'm culpable for Magic. You want to blame me for that? Yes, that's on me. I killed Magic. I apologize. If I ever meet him, I will apologize for killing him on national radio. As far as Chris, I said he's moved on. He moved on to do Get Up. I think that's accurate.
Yeah, but you corrected it on the fly, like he's moved on, but not to a higher place. He's not on the show right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, you knew you screwed up when you said it. You had to explain it after you said it. You're like, he moved on. Not in a negative way. Excuse me, not in a negative way. Not in a negative way. He's just not on the show right now.
I don't think anybody
moved on to the other show.
I don't even think that the new traffic lady likes me. Did you hear my lack of interaction with Cindy Waitman? Listen, do you have this, RJ? Very good. All right, had I realized that you're going to be doing traffic for us, I would have invited you into the March Madness pool. I didn't. I apologize for that, but let's get the traffic and bring in our new friend, Cindy Waitman.
Southbound on the Brook. Watch out for a full-out.
I mean, she became many Cindy Waitmans right there.
Just not going to even address what you said. Not even going to talk about it.
I mean, I apologized. I said, had I realized that you were going to be doing traffic, I would have invited you to the March Madness pool, and all she wants to get into is southbound on the Bruckner. I mean, she wanted no part of that conversation.
Straight business, Dave. Getting right to it.
Takes the traffic very
I was
seriously.
actually told that she didn't even fill out a bracket, and she's already paid.
Yeah, she might pay for you. That's how embarrassed she is for you. She said, and she won't even talk to me, but she did tell RJ moments ago, you know what? I'm so embarrassed by what Rick is pulling here in the March Madness bracket. Let me send in. What's Dave's Venmo? She won't talk to me, but let me send him the Venmo in place of Rick.
I don't trust the Venmo. I don't trust the Venmo.
It's terrible. The Michael K. Show's Drop Madness continues today. I'm sure you trust that. Have your dials tuned into 98.7 ESPN at 2 o'clock and be ready to cast votes for each matchup at TMKS ESPN on Twitter. Drop Madness presented by Wendy's, where quality is our recipe. Wendy's, we got you. Did you see what won yesterday?
Yeah, I did. I don't understand that, though. I don't remember. Don is actually, he's trying to get Sniff 'em Dead. I mean, he's out petitioning to get Sniff 'em Dead the victory. Well, I don't even think it's comparable.
Tiger. Sniff them dead.
Which one do you like better?
I like the stench from Amerenik.
Yeah, I love that one too. And you know what I don't like? I mean, how are you out there campaigning for one of your drops? Isn't the whole thing like it goes out there and everyone votes on it and whatever it is, it is? Now
I think I'm saying this right, Peter. Stench in Amerenik. You're on ESPN New York. How are you, sir?
Oh, hey, no, it's Bennett.
That's the best. That will never get old.
I don't even think it's cool. Like, I understand that the favorite was Sniff 'em Dead in that matchup, but as far as I'm concerned, the stench from Amerenik is gold.
Oh, because the two parts of it that make it so genuine. It's not like he said, all right, let's go to line 4, stench and Amerenik. All right, it's not stench. The way I believe I'm saying this right.
I think I'm saying this right, Peter. Stench in Amerenik. You're on ESPN.
Well, how else would you pronounce stench, though? That's why
it's Bennett.
Drop.
I mean, it's Stench. How else would you say it? He's obviously troubled. He looks at the name. He knows it's not right. It's very similar, I think, to Chris and announcing where Lorenzo Carter went. He knew it wasn't the right thing to do, but because he's a good teammate and good soldier, he just went ahead and he did what he thought was the right thing to do.
Lorenzo Carter, linebacker, Clemson. Yeah, Donnie was set up for failure. He was set up for failure by somebody. That's
you could hear the defeat in Canty's voice right there before he says Clemson.
He knows it.
Yeah.
I don't even blame Chris for it.
I'm going to take this L for the good of the draft. I'm going to hold this L quick.
I know he didn't go there, but I'm going to say it anyway. I know it's not stench, but I love what he says. I think I'm saying this right. How else in the world would you possibly say Stench?
I believe I'm pronouncing this right. Clemson?
Yes. Stench. I'd like to bring in Stench.
Stenche?
Is it a European? Stenche. And then the guy's reaction, no, it's actually like Bennett. Like nothing, nowhere, anywhere near stench. But I don't like the fact that they're campaigning for one of the drops.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I get that Don prefers, like, he gets one vote like everyone else. He can prefer Sniff 'em Dead.
That's fine, and he can vote.
But the people spoke. I mean, they wanted stench from Amerenik.
Yeah, I think it's got to win the whole thing.
Don's going to win regardless. I mean, Don is the Gonzaga of Drop Madness.
So are we into the Elite Eight now in March Madness?
In their March Madness?
Yeah.
I don't know. They won't let me know until I pay. I haven't paid them either yet.
See, I see what you're doing here. You're so embarrassed that you're now deflecting and having fun with it. I think you're embarrassed.
I'm not embarrassed at all.
I think you are.
This isn't a me issue. This is a Cassie issue. I told you. I gave her the information to send it. She just hasn't done it yet. We do have 3 kids. I mean, she's busy.
She's too busy to spend the 20 to 30 seconds it takes to send a Venmo.
I think I may have told her that we have till the tournament is over to actually get it. I don't trust the Venmo.
I may have told her.
You'll have it by the end of the day.
Right under the bus.
By the end of the day, you'll have it.
Okay. That's fine. So if I don't receive it tomorrow, we can make a federal issue out of this.
Well, don't do that, because if you're going to make a big issue out of it, then I'm not going to pay you, because I think it's better for the show if we can make an issue out of it. I mean, I'll take this thing as long as you want to take it. It's your money.
I never wanted to take it anywhere.
Well, shouldn't I get my money back since I won the bracket for the show?
If you won the bracket for the pool, you'd get your money back and then some. If you beat the 4 of us schlubs on the show,
now all of a sudden you're schlubs. Now all of a sudden you're going to downplay it. Now you're schlubs.
Based on how our brackets
based on our picks, yes.
Yeah.
Very
whose fault is that? Maybe you should have called me
Jay
up and
Williams.
I could have given you the algorithm.
Jay Williams. You know, you have many people that you're turning to. I went to Jay, and Jay wronged me.
Yeah, Jay undermined us, Dave.
Yeah, you can't bet on Cockburn, and that's what we did. We hitched our wagon to Cockburn.
Never again. Never again. Almost ruined my high school career. Not doing it again. Never again. 800-919-3776. Great news yesterday. It's official. Lock it up now. 17 weeks of the NFL. could not have made me happier to find this out yesterday. Thrilled.
So were you surprised? I mean, you knew this was coming.
I'm not surprised, but I'm still happy about it.
I just can't believe they don't have a second bye week. That actually surprised me that they're not going to have a second.
But doesn't it benefit everybody?
Obviously not. I mean, if it benefited the owners, they would have a second bye week.
So explain to me then, Chris and Rick, why that doesn't benefit everybody. You get an extra week of money. You extend the season. You now have the Super Bowl later in February. Where's the downside for the owners?
I don't see it, Dave. I don't know why they didn't throw an extra bye week. I guess maybe that could be something that I guess they looked at the data. Roger Goodell said they looked at the data and they said most of the injuries happen in preseason, so that's where they wanted to focus in terms of reducing the workload of the players. But, I mean, adding an extra regular season game is going to be more taxing on the guys, especially when you don't have roster expansion. So I don't know how advanced the talks got in terms of being able to include an extra bye week, but I assume that you would have one or the other. Either you were going to have an extra bye week for each team or you would expand the rosters. But to leave things as they are and add another regular season game, that's tough.
And you're only a week away from President's Day weekend. Just a week.
But you could have easily. It wouldn't be like, oh, my God, they've changed it. It's organic. I mean, it's beautiful. It plays out perfectly. You add another bye week. And now you add a week to the end of the season, and there you have it. It's a holiday Monday, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, unless there's some reason why they don't want to have the Super Bowl on that holiday weekend.
But what?
I don't know. You're asking questions. I don't know. I'm not in the room. I'm not having conversations with the NFL owners. There has to be a reason for it. I mean, at least they could have pretended like they care about player safety by giving them an extra week, extra bye.
Care. We know that.
Well, I know, but even there has to be something financially.
I wonder if
maybe the television partners have an issue with the contracts and other conflicts of interest. Like that might be what it is. That's the only thing that I can think of that makes sense.
I'm going to write this down and ask Dan Graziano at 7:30.
Well, it has to be finances. That's it. Because otherwise the owners would do it. Because they like to do things like if they have something they can offer the players that doesn't cost them money or affect them in any way that will make people like optically believe that they actually care about the players, they'll do it. Like if there was no financial ramifications to having a second bye, they would 100% offer to the players because now they can oh, we care about the players. We'll give them a second bye.
It has to be. You guys brought up, and I think it has to be something with the Super Bowl over President's Day weekend. Because I can't imagine that adding an extra week of revenue during the season would be a negative in any way.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have to be, what the numbers are on that. If people are traveling and everything else, like how the numbers would be. I would imagine you get more people actually at the Super Bowl because I got that Monday off.
Yeah.
Well, how many more people are you going to get at the Super Bowl?
Well, not just going to the game, like I'm going to the city, like traveling to the Super Bowl city because I have the extra time off. But there has to be financially. It doesn't make sense. Otherwise, they would do it.
It has to be. Let's take a listen. Here's Adam Schefter on SportsCenter. The impact of the NFL going to 17 games.
Well, the league is following the data, and it is following the science, as Roger Goodell said. But let's be honest, it's also following the money. There's huge money involved in expanding the schedule to 17 regular season games per team. And after a year in which there was lost revenue from the pandemic, we can look to the cap ballooning starting in 2023, thanks to the expanded schedule in part, thanks to more games, thanks to bigger media rights deals. But now you're going to see, the schedule will be pushed back, the Super Bowl be played the Sunday night before President's Day. You're going to see these teams have extra games. Obviously, this is something everybody knew coming. It was baked into the last collective bargaining agreement done over a year ago. There's zero surprise. This was just a formality, and that formality was officially approved by owners today. It was always going to happen the 17-game season.
Now, hang on a second. He says that it's the Sunday before President's Day. I don't think that's true. No, he's not, because I saw that the Super Bowl is February 13th, and I'm looking at right now. President's Day is February 21st.
Do you think I would have said that to you if I didn't already look it up?
But here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but when Adam Schefter says something so factual and so, aggressive, I tend to believe what he's saying. So he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong. I mean, right now as it stands, and the season will end on the Super Bowl will be on February 13th.
You idiot.
Which is the week before President's Day weekend. I mean, I would imagine at some point, too, they'll end up having 18 regular season games and 2 preseason games.
You would think so. So now, with the preseason, is the second preseason game now the game? And the third one is just the nobody plays and it's meaningless?
Well, I don't know how much you're going to play. I mean, how much you're really going to play your guys in the pre. Like, you went this entire NFL season with no preseason,
and it was fine.
So now I'm going to add a 17th. Now I'm going to add a 17th game. Like, how much are you really going to want to play your starters in the preseason now?
I mean, teams have been moving away from that for the past 4 or 5 years. Like, more and more teams are not playing their starters in the preseason. They're just not doing it. Or if they do, they're going to play them a little bit in that third preseason game. So the workload for your starters in the preseason is, as far as the games go, is next to nothing. So, I mean, reducing the preseason games, I don't know if that actually impacts.
It doesn't.
What the starters are going to have to deal with in the regular season.
No, but I'm just wondering, like the third preseason game was always the game that you would play the starters for 3 quarters. I'm wondering if that becomes like the
No,
more
but they don't do that.
importance.
They don't even do that anymore, though, Dave. Teams don't even do that anymore. They don't play the starters into the second half. Like, that was something that was around when I was playing, like Bill Parcells and Tom Coughlin, but new coaches aren't doing that.
So 2 years ago, we didn't get like 3 quarters of the starters in a game?
Depends on the team.
Depends on the team, but most
Rams
teams
weren't
aren't
playing anybody.
Yeah, most teams aren't doing that. That's not what they're doing. So, I mean, you got to think with the regular season going to 17 games, that's just going to make things trend more in that direction. So, again, they're talking about staying with the 20-game format and how it's not necessarily increasing the workload. It is increasing the workload on the guys that will actually make the team, which is why there's got to be a little bit of concern about injuries and the attrition that players have to deal with.
Now, you say that, and I agree with you, but do you think there's really concern? Or you think they really care?
Well, you might not be, the league might not be concerned, but
right.
The teams are concerned. The teams that are making these investments in the players and the coaching staffs, they're concerned. How they approach the work week is going to drastically change. It has to. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of guys ending up hurt because of, the physical demand that's put on NFL players during the season with an extra regular season game.
You're seeing that in every sport, though. I mean, that's the common thread with all these sports is there's just, I mean, because you're trying to keep these guys with how much money they make and how often, you're adding a 17th game to the NFL. They need that much time to get themselves right to actually play an NFL game. But, I mean, NBA, NHL playing every other night, back-to-back games, and everything. These teams don't really practice anymore.
No.
There's no time. Like, there isn't, because you're more focused on guys recovering than you are actually trying to practice.
But you saw practice limited to an extreme extent this year, and the product was fine, and everybody loved football just the same.
Well, you're always going to love football. It doesn't matter. I mean, you have regular off-season programs in preseason games, and the first couple weeks of NFL games isn't always great football. Like you go in expecting that the first couple weeks isn't going to be great football.
But I don't even know that it matters. Like if they just go out there and it's fine, that's what people want. Unless it's just hideous, which it never is. Nobody cares if it's the highest level of football or just fine or average or whatever it is.
Hideous football is like bad pizza. You're still going to eat it.
How far would you drive? Would you drive further for pizza, if Cassie said, or to go to a football game?
Well, I could do both. I would just say, okay, I'm going to this football game, and Cass, find us a pizza place by the stadium.
The kill two birds method.
Exactly right.
I like.
You're talking to a guy who drove to Philly for cheesesteaks.
It's crazy. Now, was that by yourself, or was the family accompanying you?
Cass came with me. She drove with me on that one.
All right, good. So that's not as crazy. If she said to you, I have a hankering for cheesesteaks. Why don't you be a dear and drive out there and bring them back? I would think that is bizarre.
No, I would have done it. But that's an experience. That's far enough.
Here's my question for you. What do you think the cheesesteak looks like by the time you get back with it?
Well, that's the issue. But again, that was part of the conversation. That's why to actually give a fair assessment of Philly cheesesteaks for her, I said you can't. Like, I'll go get them, but it's not going to be nearly the same as eating it fresh right in Philly. So we went to a bunch of different places. We tried a bunch of different cheesesteaks.
So it's like a cheesesteak tasting menu.
Yeah,
I like it. You guys have quite the life. Yeah. Did you pay for it? You tell the cheesesteak stands, I'm sorry, we'll Venmo this to you.
I told but they actually had PayPal, so I said, you know what, we'll when we get back to Long Island, we'll PayPal you.
Right, we have PayPal too,
That's what she's going to pay you on. We don't have the Venmo.
Terrific. I look forward to that. Phil in the Bronx. Phil, you're next up on 98.7.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing? I had a question. I wanted to know if you thought the Jets could get to 8 or 9 by moving Darnold, the 23 pick, and the 34 pick.
To get to 8 or 9. So you're saying that Carolina would want
Darnold
and
Sam
Darnold?
23 and 34.
It sounds like Carolina's more interested in trying to maybe get up. It sounds like Carolina would be more interested in trying to get up to take a quarterback than they would be to trade down.
I would just be curious as to why you would want to move up from 23 all the way up to 10. Why would you want to mortgage all of that capital, all of those resources?
It would depend on who's available.
The Jets
because you need players. You need bodies.
You need bodies. You need those draft picks. I don't want to give up more draft capital just to get back up into the top 10. I mean, you've got the opportunity to take the quarterback at 2, so you do that, and then you need to worry about trying to get more football players
protect the quarterback
that can help you to compete at a higher level.
Yeah, but I mean, just imagine if, because in theory, I agree with you guys, but just imagine if the way the board falls, you got Wilson at 2, and then you're sitting there, you know that Carolina will do that deal, and Kyle Pitts is just sitting there at 8.
Yeah, it's great, but I mean, would you rather have a really good offensive lineman at 23 and then you're starting running back at 34 and then trade Darnold for another piece in the second or third round?
Yeah, but you're pretending like there's going to be a really good offensive lineman at 23.
I think
there will be. The USC kid Elijah Vera Tucker is supposed to be around that.
They got him
area.
going higher than that now.
Yeah, he's moving up the boards, but you should still get a really good starter at 23.
Yeah, you can get an offensive.
Well, I don't disagree, but they're talking about Kyle Pitts being the second best player in this whole draft. And how's the tight end production been from the Jets? Pretty good?
Not so good.
Yeah, it's been awful. Horrendous.
Yeah, I think I take Chris's side on this one, though. I desperately need bodies. I desperately need players. I'm not trading 23, 34.
You heard what Tannenbaum said, though, yesterday. Tannenbaum's a big believer. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, but you should be able to do both when you're picking 23.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying that I would do it, but I'm saying if I'm Joe Douglas and that was something that was possible, and someone like Kyle Pitts, who feels a need because my tight end production has been horrendous, would fit with what Mike LaFleur wants to run as far as an offense is concerned, and he's supposed to be the second best player in the draft, I would consider it. I don't know how you wouldn't.
But I told you exactly how I would.
Yeah. I think you need players. I think it comes down to needing more than just a quarterback and a tight end.
I can get my starting running back at 34.
Yeah.
The Jets don't have a running back now. I should be able to get a really good player at 23, and by trading Sam, I should be able to get another really good player wherever that pick winds up.
You're talking about a late third to a fourth round pick for Sam, apparently.
We'll see about that.
Well, we'll see what happens with that.
Who do you think trades for Jimmy Garoppolo? If I were to ask you right now, who do you think trades for Jimmy Garoppolo?
New England.
You think New England, huh?
Mm-hmm. I think Belichick likes him. I think he didn't want to get rid of him in the first place.
Yeah, but he doesn't stay healthy, though. Do you really want to deal with that?
Well, you got Cam Newton for that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how that would.
Where do you think he goes?
I don't know. Doesn't Denver have to do something? They can't go. I mean, if they don't get a quarterback in the draft, what are they going to do? Roll with
Is Garoppolo better than Locke?
Yeah, I think he is when he's healthy.
Maybe, I don't know.
He wins a lot when he's healthy. He does not stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he wins a lot. They got a bunch of weapons on that team.
Yeah, I'd feel better about Garoppolo with the Broncos than I do Drew Lock.
Everyone was in love with Drew Lock. I heard so many people
love him.
Last season, the sleeper team, I'm telling you, that Denver Broncos team, that Drew Lock.
That's because of how he finished his rookie year. He went 5-3 in his last 8 games.
Thanks for listening to the DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg podcast.
I have nothing left.
Hear more of DiPietro, Canty, and Rothenberg live weekday mornings from 5 to 8 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN in New York, the ESPN app, the TuneIn app, or on your smart speaker.
Hey Alexa, play ESPN New York 98.7.